This is more than just running. It is a challenge, it is a journey, and it starts here. Let's take the first step together to be 1% better than yesterday.
Welcome to episode 3 of the Marathon Build. And in this episode we are going to talk about the non-negotiables of a marathon build. This is going to be mainly based around the insights that I've gained during my marathon last year. We're right now less than 16 weeks out from the marathon, and the first pillar is going to be about how to build endurance. So how do we build endurance? You will build endurance during these easy runs, where you will easy, which is below your max effort, obviously. But how do we build endurance in those easy runs is by running slower. One of the biggest mistakes that I made during my last prep was running these easy runs way too fast. And that is exactly what makes most people injured or will not be able to sustain for a long term, right? We will build endurance by running slower. It sounds controversial, but I can tell you that is the truth. Then the good thing when you're just starting and you would like to build up endurance more quickly, you will build up endurance way quicker than you will build up muscle, which is great, right? Because in that beginning you will have that, these newbie gains. These newbie gains can actually become very, very motivational for you. And you like to push through and go harder. And that's where you need to be disciplined, sticking to the plan, to the strategy, sticking to stay running easy, especially during 80% of your workouts, which are easy, right? So then when you build up endurance later on, it will just go very, very slow. It will come in drops, but when you're not consistent, we will lose it in buckets. So being able to build endurance during these easy runs is first about running slower, second, sticking to the plan, and stay consistent with that what you're doing. And you will build up massive progress over time.
During our marathon build, there are no shortcuts, only non-negotiables. And the difference between finishing strong and hitting the marathon wall, that starts with what you commit to today. No excuses, just progress.
So if someone was going to ask me how my run was, I would just tell them, look at my hair. Nevertheless, another 19k completed, first of 4 workouts for this week in terms of running. The next one is going to be super exciting. There will be lactate threshold workout where we will try our new boots, of course. So super excited for that one. Right now we will dive into how you can focus on Zone 2 training and what you can do in order to actually measure it as well. So let's dive into that.
So during these easy runs that we will have multiple times per week, preferably 80% of your runs, we will build our aerobic base. Our aerobic base is where you will have and build up your endurance and your cardiovascular fitness, which basically means that you will get fitter over time. That will allow you to run longer, run faster, right? It sounds very controversial, but if you will run slower, you will allow yourself to build up that aerobic base to then run faster and farther, right? So how do we even track that? There are many ways you can actually do that, to be very honest. There are tests that you can do. There are several tools that you can use, for example, smartwatches, etc., right? If you don't have your hands on those kind of resources, there are a few things that we can do, which is tracking heart rate, right? So maybe you can do that through your phone. You can do that through a heart rate monitor, through maybe your watch, or maybe a strap here that you can also track directly with your watch, right? Those are resources that you can use. And what we then should keep in mind for the heart rate is that we want to have our heart rate in about 60 to 70% of what we are actually capable of achieving, right? So 60 to 70% of our max aerobic heart rate. That's where we will hit our perfect zone, the Zone 2, in order to build up that aerobic base. And you can also calculate that in the following way. You just use 180 as a starting point and you divide that by the number of your age. So in my case, 180 minus 23, that will be my preferred zone to train in to build up that aerobic base. That's the first way with a heart rate monitor. The second way is a little bit easier, is just using a conversational pace. What do I mean by that? If you're able to talk in, let's say, sentences, right, in paragraphs, then you can actually track that by not feeling exhausted after that, after the talk that you do. If you feel exhausted and you think it's taking a lot of energy and effort to do that, right, to speak in several sentences, then you're most likely running too fast. So if you just want to track it very easily, just allow yourself to speak, even though if you're not training with anyone, just talk loudly and see if you're able to talk for several paragraphs without feeling very exhausted. If you can actually talk in normal ways, so you have normal conversations, that's normally a good range to aim for in order to hit that, zone where you would like to be in order to build that aerobic base as well. And then we have the last way to track it, and that is called Zone 2, which I already talked about. Zone 2 is something that you can even track with, for example, what I use, a Whoop, that will allow you to see in which zones you're training in while running. And preferred, like I said, your easy runs to be in Zone 2. That's basically where you will build up that aerobic base. If you go from Zone 3 to Zone 5, that is more intensity. And when you need more intensity, that's of course causing you a lot of effort. That's not within the preferred heart range, right? And you cannot talk loudly. So all those things together will directly tell you that you're not training in the right zone for your easy runs, right? So you can track it, and by time, if you, for example, use a heart rate monitor, or you use, for example, a smartwatch, right, to track your heart rate, by time you will feel that it becomes natural, and you will feel what will actually be your Zone 2. So if you're doing and you're going to run for the first time, most likely you don't know exactly what that Zone 2 will be for you, right? And my Zone 2 can be totally different than your Zone 2, right? So you'd always look at your personal situation, because everybody's unique in that sense, right? So by time, when you have done multiple runs, you know exactly what pace, when you're going to start to run, what will be your Zone 2, what will be your Zone 3, and what will be your Zone 4 and 5. You will feel that. So then by time, you don't need that heart rate monitor. You don't need to every single time track your smartwatch, right? That's not necessary. So that's the first thing, right? How can you actually build that aerobic base? Is by training in the right zone, okay? Then how we want to train is by using the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule means that you are gonna train 80% of all the runs that you do in an easy paced workout. So easy runs, right? No low intensity, low heart rate, just your easy runs. That's what you would like to do 80% of the workouts that you are going to do. The other 20% is what we will basically call our speed work, our lactate threshold work, our critical velocity. And that's what we will dive into also in the next pillar, and also in a specific video, how we can actually do that, what workouts I use, and how you can use it as well. So that is the 80-20 rule. That is very important to build up as well your endurance, because you want to focus 80% of your time on that easy run with low intensity and low heart rate, right? That is very important. The other 20%, we can go for higher intensity, high efforts, where you give your all, right? And the thing is that most people run their easy runs too slow, and they run their speed work, they run the easy runs too fast, and the speed work is going too slow. So you want to understand as well what you should aim for in terms of percentages, which we will dive into. Then you have to understand that our body, when you're training, when you're new, and you're just getting into running maybe, our body will adapt very, very fast on the amount of work that we are going to put in. So if you're giving everything you have and you're going to commit 100% to that race that you're trying to race, and you're going to build up and prepare yourself for that race with a very strategic plan, you have more possibilities, of course, to achieving that goal that you want. But your body will also feel and adapt accordingly. So if you're not going to give your all, you cannot cheat on your body. Your body will understand what you're capable of and what not. You cannot basically tell your body, okay, I'm not going to do the work, and then expecting to be able to perform at your best during race day. That is not going to happen. Our body is going to adapt on the amount of work that we would like to put in. And that is great, because the more work we put in, keeping it mindful by just increasing it slowly, which I will dive into in a second, that will allow us to, of course, then, do the work that is necessary in order to hit our goals. Because we just need to do the work in order to at least be able to go for that basically target that we have for ourselves, right? Because we know we cannot basically cheat on our body. Our body knows the work that we have put in because it knows effort, right? And it knows heart rate. The efforts, specifically about this topic, is very important because our body knows what we have done and what you're capable of. So you cannot just go 10 times farther, 10 times harder on race day because you don't have that base in order to build on. Or maybe you have done all the work and you're actually capable of achieving it because you know you've done it. Because your body has adapted to the work that you've put in. And that is very important. And how we can do that is by consistently but very easily increasing the mileage or kilometers per week. One of the things that I did wrong when I started running last year during my first prep was that I was increasing my mileage way too fast. I was doing it from one day when I was running 10 kilometers, a week later I wanted to do already like 18 kilometers, right? What you don't want to do is take too big of a step from the point where you are right now to there where you want to be. Even though you might be very motivated and you want to do very, very fast, there is no shortcut, okay? It is going to be a process, going to be a journey. In order to get that journey as efficient and effective as possible, you need to get rid of one thing, and that is ego. That is something that completely stood in my way when I was starting, because I thought, my body can handle it, I can do it. And when I did that, I actually felt that my legs were not feeling very well the next days. It was too much strain on my body and I couldn't perform the days after. So even though I thought I was actually making a lot of progress, it was actually giving me less opportunities to perform my next workouts, which was actually slowing me down. So what we want to do is increase our mileage or kilometers with 10% maximum, between 5 to 10% per week. When we do it too fast, our body cannot handle the volume and intensity that we are going to aim for when we are just starting. So what you want to do is keep in mind to not increase your mileage or kilometers by more than 10% per week. Beautiful, I would say. Very happy with. And these are the ones we will start working with from Thursday onwards. So yeah, let me know what you think of these. The colors that I picked, there were a lot of colors actually available. White ones, pink ones, but these are, actually reminds me a lot of basketball shoes, to be very honest, the colorway that they used, very elegant. I really, really like them. Yeah, beautiful, super happy with. All right, good morning. It is Thursday, the 30th of January. That means we have a new, bigger workout on the schedule in terms of speed development. So there are two effective ways how we can actually build up our speed. That is through lactate threshold training or through critical velocity. And right now, today, we are going to focus on the critical velocity training. What that means and how this training is going to look like is a 2K warm-up. And then we have 9 times 30 seconds, 90 to 100% of effort sprints with 750 meter easy runs in between, with also a 2 kilometer cool down. So this is one of the two ways how we can actually build up that speed, which we will elaborate on as well after the run. So let's talk about the importance of including speed work in our current training program. I personally always like to use the 80-20 rule. And what this means is that 80% of the runs that we do, of the workouts that we have, should be spent easy. Longer distances, lower intensity, higher volume. This is where we will build our aerobic base. And the more slower we run, as we already talked about, the faster we become. But the other 20% of the workouts that we have should be spent on building that anaerobic base. This is where we have our lactate threshold training, critical velocity training, our speed work. This is with higher intensity, lower volume, and shorter distances. So what is lactate threshold in the first place? Because when I started, I had no clue what this word was. Look, when we train more at lactate threshold training, and I will create a separate video about that later in this series, then our body becomes more efficient in clearing lactate. This will allow us to run farther and faster. And how you can basically monitor it, or let's say track where your current threshold is by doing a lactate threshold test. You can do this in a lab or maybe somewhere close to you, where they will look at, okay, how much volume can you take at a certain pace in which your body is still as efficient in clearing lactate. What is your threshold right now? And what you will see, the more you train during lactate threshold trainings, the more work you do of it, the more efficient your body becomes in clearing that lactate, which will allow you to, of course, get that threshold from where it is right now to maybe in a year from now, way higher, way better. That's just by, just consistently putting in the work, and your body will adapt over time. So that's what you can do by just doing a test. In the next non-negotiable pillar, we will talk all about recovery. So let's talk all about recovery. Recovery is one of the most important parts of our entire build. If we don't recover, we won't be able to perform. Not in this workout, not in the workout that comes later today, not in the workout that follows tomorrow. And this has a direct effect on the race day as well, because we won't be able to perform our best during the prep, which has a direct effect on the end result that we want to accomplish. Me personally, I look at recovery in 3 steps: sleep, nutrition, and mobility. Sleep for me includes consistent bedtimes, no alcohol intake at all, and caffeine. Caffeine, I'm just very conscious of when I take it and when I stop taking it. To be very honest, sleep is something that I haven't dialed in really well. I don't sleep enough in my own perspective. That's something I really need to improve myself, but something that I do look at is consistent bedtimes. This allows me at least to have a very good REM sleep, which basically improves my quality of sleep, even though the hours are not significant. Alcohol intake, I don't consume any alcohol at all, which helps me, of course, to recover way better than the average person. And caffeine. Caffeine is something that I take maybe 2-3 times per day, but I don't take it after normally 2 to 3 p.m. because then it has a direct effect on my sleep when I will be in bed maybe at 10 or 11 p.m. So that's the first pillar, sleep. Nutrition. This is something we will talk about in non-negotiable number 5 as well. But nutrition is super important in order to recover. This is something that I didn't understand a year ago. But nutrition has a direct effect, of course, on the way how we can perform during the workout, but more importantly, how our body is going to recover the day after, or how we fuel ourselves around the workouts, which will allow us to perform during the workout and recover faster. So I always look at high quality sources of nutrition, non-processed foods, and high in nutrient density. I don't like to take any processed foods at all, preferably. And this also has a very good effect on my recovery, for my bones, for my muscles, and also for my peace of mind to just recover faster. I look at protein, carbs, and dietary fats. Dietary fats, I saw it as something that was very negative from a certain point a few years ago. I thought fats will make you fat. That's not the case. Fats are actually allowing us to also recover faster. So I take a lot of dietary fats right now. I take a lot of carbs around my workouts to just give me that energy. And of course protein also for my muscles to just recover faster as well. We have a pre, intra and post fueling strategy. That's something that I do. Look, the pre phase is of course how do we actually fuel ourselves before the workout starts. That can be in terms of whole foods, and that can also be in terms of supplements. Intra-workout is how do you fuel during your workouts. I try to personally like to take some gels during my workout, intra, in order to also, just fuel myself up when I have a very big workout, or I have a lactate threshold workout, or a critical velocity workout, when there's more intensity or a lot of volume required, I really like to focus on the intra-fueling strategy as well. And of course, post-workout, how are we actually going to refuel ourselves in order to recover faster? One of the things that I take every single day, after every single workout, or at least every single time before I head to bed, is magnesium and collagen. Right now, with Kaizen athletes, we are also establishing a product that includes both. So we don't need to buy both magnesium and collagen, but basically a product that allows us to have these two products, these two important basically sources in one product. This allows us to recover faster for our muscles and our bones in order to not feel really sore and just be able to perform the next workout that comes very quickly. Mobility, the last part of recovery. Look, mobility is something that I haven't focused on since a very long time, but has made a significant influence on my recovery as a whole. What I do always is dynamic stretching. Every single morning when I wake up, I have 30 minutes that I take to really stretch myself up, to do some, dynamic stretches, sometimes also static stretches, but preferably dynamic stretches to, just really loosen up my body, to get all of that tension out of my body in order to be able to move better. So dynamic stretches for me every single morning, every single time after my workout, and of course prior to my workout, and every single evening before I head to bed are non-negotiables. And of course, active rest. So if you're having a rest day, then instead of just doing nothing, try to maybe just walk, maybe get still that 10,000 steps in on a very low volume, but you're still moving your body, so you're not feeling, very tight the day after. That's something that I prefer. And of course, this is key. Preventing is always better than curing. We don't want to, get to the point where we need to basically include dynamic stretches because, we can just not move anymore. It's better to prevent, let's say, feeling very fatigued or very, not being able to move anywhere, than to cure it, right? Curing is always the latest stage where we want to be in, because then we already did it wrong normally. So that's always what I like to prevent. Always, be prepared, do the things required in order to fuel myself properly, to get the preferred sleep in, nutrition, right? And to just move myself. And this allows me to recover really, really, really well. So there are hundreds of strategies and 100 things that you can do more. This is something that I do, and there's one more thing that I always include every single evening as well. And this is a kind of a Terragun. It's a Pulsio, which you will have with different heads that you can just put on your body, on your legs, right, on your calves, in order to just get that tension out of your legs so you're able to perform the next day. So we just had a workout right now, which was a critical velocity workout. This evening, I will just grab my gun and I will prepare myself for tomorrow's morning run. That's what I do with this device in order to just speed up the recovery process. So this is something that I use as a tool that you can maybe try out as well.
Yo creo.
Alright, so let's talk about strength training. This is something that I still incorporate in my marathon build. Strength training is a very important pillar for me personally in order to perform better. It helps me prevent injuries, it's better for longevity, and it just helps me during my runs. Not in terms of muscle size, but just having muscle and being able to rely on the muscles you have will allow you to just prevent injuries. I always like to prevent instead of curing, as you might know. So how I, for example, incorporate strength training in my current training sessions is by reducing the volume a little bit and the intensity as well when I'm, for example, off season, or let's say out of the season when I'm not having a prep or build like a marathon, but I'm still doing it to maintain a healthy amount of strength training sessions that will help me prevent injuries and just basically strengthen my quads. It will strengthen my my calves, my legs, everything around that, right? Your glutes, those are very important parts and let's say muscle groups that you will use a lot while you're running. So I see this as very beneficial when I'm just, let's say, developing these muscle groups in order to perform better during my running sessions. So don't get me wrong, if we put like a barbell with 200 kilograms on it and we do heavy squats where your body is completely taxed afterwards, that's not going to be beneficial. But if we reduce volume a little bit, like I do, because I normally train 5 times per week in the gym, I right now will reduce to 4, maybe 3 times per week, but mainly 4 times a week. And of course, with that, reduce volume and intensity. But I still do it because I truly believe that the stronger my body is, not in terms of muscle size, but just in terms of how I feel, the better I will perform. And weightlifting is not for aesthetics. I truly see weightlifting as functional fitness that will support your endurance goals and the goals you set for yourself. So the amount of volume and intensity is very important to understand that it should of course match your goals. It should not be the main priority. So when I'm, for example, having a double session like I have today, I will head to the gym right now after I had the morning run earlier today. I will do my morning runs always first. I always run first because that's the main priority. So I maybe have a little bit less energy if that's the case, but I'm still be able to perform in the gym. But the main focus is going to be based on my first session, which was the running session. That's how I do it normally myself. Just, to get leg day in for better, basically quads, for my glutes, for everything around that, in order to, let's say, just feel better and being able to perform better on race day as well, with possibly less injuries during the entire build. So in another video, we're also going to talk about strength training as a whole and why I would recommend you also incorporating this in your own build. But this is my view on strength training and why I would say this is a non-negotiable, at least for me, during this entire build. Good morning. It is Sunday, the 2nd of February, and right now we have breakfast in front of us before we hit our 16K easy run later this morning. So we have 3 pieces of bread with 1 banana and some honey and 2 dates. Fueling my performance was something that I did completely wrong and actually consuming the wrong amounts of nutrition during my last prep, during my last marathon in Madrid. I was not eating enough. And I was not consuming the right sources of, let's say, nutrition that my body needed. High quality carbs, high quality protein, and high quality healthy fats, dietary fats especially. So right now that is something that I will do better this prep. And I truly believe that nutrition is one of the most essential pillars of our entire build. If we don't fuel ourselves properly, like the same as you, for example, will fuel your car, we won't get anywhere. Your car cannot, let's say, get to its destination without having the right fuel inside the car, right? The same is true for our body. If we don't have the fuel that we can use around our workouts to recover, but especially during the workouts to perform, we won't be able to become faster and better. So we have, of course, nutrition in terms of whole food, and we have nutrition in terms of supplements. That's something we will dive into later. Right now, 3 pieces of bread, honey, banana, and honey, banana, 2 dates, and 3 pieces of bread to get enough carbs in my body in order to perform. Look, this might be something that I won't take before race day. Right now, as I'm 106 days out from the marathon, I just love to test. Because I don't know what actually helps my body perform at its best, right? Maybe you don't neither. So it's very important during this build to test several sources of whole foods and protein, dietary fats, carbs, supplements, in order to find out what is actually working best for you around your workouts, which helps you recover faster and of course perform better during the workouts. So I just like to see, okay, how is this going to fuel myself and how is my body going to react during the workout? And is it actually giving me the right amounts of energy that I need? If not, I will pivot, I will change, because now it's the right time to test that. So I'm really an advocate of just testing a lot of different things that will allow myself to get the best whole food and nutrition before race day, where I will just take the same amounts that I will take also for my bigger workouts. So right now it's all about testing. This is my whole food diet for now. Later today I have 2 more meals. Of course, lunch and dinner also around healthy fats, high quality protein and high quality carbs in order to also recover faster. Alright, I just came back from a rainy Sunday morning run in Spain. Another 16k run completed. And this wraps up episode 3 of the marathon build. Right now I'm roughly around 57 to 60 kilometers on average weekly volume in terms of kilometers. And I'm gonna, of course, slightly but surely increase that. And we need to do that in the most efficient and effective way possible. And that's what we are going to talk about in the next video, on how we can master the long run and how we should increase the weekly volume slightly but surely. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it was helpful and looking forward to seeing you in the next one.